Hey TV fans, Bored Now back with you, and on this video I'm going to be talking about Yellowjackets Season 3 Episode 8. The episode is called A Normal Boring Life. Full spoilers from the start of this review as always, and of course this follows on from the big cliffhanger at the end of Episode 7, which was Shauna pulling her car up outside the house of the mystery woman who she suspects has been stalking her and could be involved in other stuff, which she believes to be the daughter of Hannah from the wilderness. So that's where we pick up, and it's a very solid episode. I think the reason it works as well as it does is because you have these big showcase scenes between the Hilary Swank character and Shauna throughout the episode, these big standoff scenes where some stuff comes out about the past, all the rest of it. This back and forth, almost a bit like it's a stage play, because it's like in the one room and things slowly start to boil over. But then that's interspersed with other bits and pieces from both timelines. And I think that's really well handled. I think the pacing of the episode was really nicely done. And these scenes between Shauna and this other character are really effective. Not surprisingly, Hilary Swank is really good, and the two actresses have good chemistry. Give it up for Melanie Lynskey, especially because I think she might be the MVP of the episode. She really shines and has a lot of meaty things to do. So I will start with the adult timeline and go through things, because there is quite a lot of little small things to discuss as well. So Shauna has a vision of her younger self working in a supermarket, and she's confronted by Jackie. Her former best friend mocks her for wasting her life, so much potential, etc. We get a shot at frozen dead body parts appearing to Shauna. And I love Jackie's "make it snappy, you won't make employee of the month this way" line. Shauna hates being called Shipman, set to appear buzzing around the top of the room. This is the other Yellowjackets, possibly. I think it's meant to represent them, maybe. Shauna says they're drawn to the light, should have seen that coming. So a couple of theories about what this could symbolise. I think it could be a sign that Yellowjackets are dead, and that maybe Shauna cost them their lives. It could be that everyone, including Shauna, is dead, and this is some sort of afterlife. Now, it would be perfect then if Shauna doesn't make it out of the series and is a victim later on, then she's there in like this afterlife with Jackie. That just seems kind of fitting. So Jackie appearing as Shauna's moral compass makes a lot of sense before this big event. So then adult Shauna awakes in the car. It's the next morning. She walks into Mystery Woman's house. Hearing people talking upstairs, Shauna hides in the closet, which is pretty smart. She overhears the mystery woman with her family. When the wife and daughter leaves, a woman going by the name Kelly, so Hilary Swank's character, waits outside the closet with a knife. She knows someone's in there, telling whoever it is to get the hell out here. You don't know whose house you just walked into. Shauna comes out also with a knife and says, "Actually, I do. Melissa, what the fuck are you doing alive?" Cut to credits. The perfect setup for the episode. And it turns out Melissa married Hannah's daughter. So this is clever because Shauna thought it was Hannah's daughter because it's that address, the same address. So that makes perfect sense. It's a nice misdirect. Melissa later tells Shauna she looked up Hannah's daughter, intending to give her Hannah's tape, but she couldn't. She claims she naturally fell in love with her and loves her family truly. Melissa says they should agree to both put down knives. Back at the hospital, the doctor tells Ty it might be time to consider moving Van into a hospice unit. Ty is reluctant, but then asks Misty to show her where that unit is. She has a plan. By the way, there's no Lauren Ambrose in this episode, and that's a real shame. At dinner, Jeff and Callie bump into the two Joels, the jerky business associates who Shauna freaked out a few episodes ago. They're real assholes. Jeff wants another shot at the pitch. They laugh him off and have other plans. Jeff, with the great line, "You can't go with future net furnitures." This feels like filler, but is nicely paid off later and is a good character beat for Jeff, so more on that later. Misty calls Jeff about Shauna's whereabouts. She then questions him about her whereabouts the day of Lottie's death. Jeff says they were at the nursing home with Misty. Misty hangs up, much to Jeff's frustration. Him constantly swearing is great. Back to the house, Melissa tells Shauna she left a suicide note, pretending she was dead because it was easier to throw people off and to disappear. She laughs when Shauna asks if she's still in love with her. In a stinging blow, she claims she never loved Shauna. I'm not sure I believe that, by the way, adding she didn't feel part of the group after the wilderness, so faked her own death. This seems a bit extreme to me. She knows all about Natalie's death and what went down at Lottie's reserve. She left the tape after the funeral. She is surprised when Shauna accuses her of killing Lottie. She didn't even know Lottie was dead, she claims. Another fun idea is that Melissa's therapist motivated her to confront the situation. Shauna is surprised that Melissa is so familiar she calls her therapist by her name. Barbara, it keeps getting repeated. "What else am I going to call her? Doctor?" says Melissa. So she denies trying to kill Shauna, suggesting the car brakes. Locking Shauna in freezer was all in Shauna's head. She also dismisses that she planted the Queen of Hearts tape in a toilet stall. This is pretty funny because Melissa's like, "Oh, what, you telling me some weirdo in like a New York bathroom or something just left a weird thing?" Yeah, that's a stretch. Lynskey's performance is fantastic in this scene as she starts clicking through the gears as Shauna gets more and more unhinged. Ty wants to sacrifice a guy who's already dead, or already dying, to save Van. She can't go through with it, and there's another nice comedic moment as the guy's vitals and his heart rate monitor starts going wild. Ty's like, that wasn't me, and they decide to get out of there. Nice balance between comedy and drama. There's a great cut at this point to the wilderness, but I'll get to that later. Shauna doesn't believe that Melissa didn't kill Lottie. Melissa says she has no interest in that stuff because she likes the normal life. Shauna obsessively tells Melissa, "You don't get to have a normal life." This brings it back to the question of, can the Yellowjackets ever have a normal life? So maybe Melissa is lying, but it does seem the prospect of one of the group living a normal life only makes Shauna more unhinged. Maybe what makes Shauna the true villain of the series is that she doesn't want anyone else to live a happy normal life if she can't. Ty and Van, of course, are trying to make it happen, having a normal relationship. Even Misty seems more grounded than Shauna this season, so that is definitely a theme with her character. At this point, I wonder if Shauna really believes Melissa had anything to do with Lottie's death or trying to kill her. Maybe she just wants to have her suffer like her, regardless of the facts. By the way, if Shauna thinks Melissa killed Lottie out of revenge for Nat, I doubt it, since she was never that close to Nat. Shauna ignores a call from Callie. Melissa asks, "Is that your daughter?" "Yes," says Shauna. "Does she love you and know what you're capable of?" comes the reply. Shauna says, "Yes, actually." Melissa, "Now look who's lying." Great delivery from Swank on that line. Callie's frantic voice message to her mum is really funny about Dad going crazy as Jeff manically screams into Misty's voice message. Jeff bringing the comedic chops again. Callie and Jeff both agree that Shauna is going crazy and that it's to do with what happened in the wilderness. So Callie debunks the stalker theory, and they both also agree it has nothing to do with them, so they decide to go home. Will Shauna keep her family by the end of the series is one question this makes me think. If she lives, it's possible that they might leave her. I could see that being a thing. Maybe one last cruel irony. Later, as they're checking out, Jeff spots Joel and Joel and sticks it to them. So this is the payoff to the earlier scene, saying it was Shauna who ruined the deal because she's unhinged. "But I'm not her," says Jeff. "Have you never fallen for an unhinged woman," he continues, "or have all the women you've fallen for been boring? I'm the right man for the job." Jeff walks out with his head held high. Callie smiles. She's proud of her dad. It's a great moment for Jeff. In his own way, he is sort of supporting Shauna with the unhinged woman line and the idea that at least it's not boring. Jeff accepting Shauna for all her faults. Other than Melanie Lynskey's performance and Shauna's scenes with Melissa in the episode, I might suggest Jeff could be the MVP of the episode outside of that stuff. Things finally come to a boil in the kitchen between Shauna and Melissa. Melissa pushes Shauna too far and they get into a full-on fight. Shauna headbutting Melissa responding, blood comes out. Shauna pins Melissa to the floor and takes a bite out of her arm, taking a playbook out of her cannibalist days. She demands Melissa eats her own flesh, otherwise Shauna will tell the family the truth. Great visual with Shauna over Melissa with blood in her mouth. This is the ultimate head trip from Shauna. And we get a great kick-ass end track, which is Sleater Kinney, Dig Me Out, which is a favourite of mine. I'll play some of that later on. That's how we end the episode, and it's a great little cliffhanger. Once again, enjoyed the scenes between these two this episode, but now it's time to switch over to the wilderness. Misty has got separated from the group, but starts finding these like little vine material type things on the tree branches, so starts to follow them. As Cody guides Travis and Akira home, Akira questions if this is their destiny, that Coach Ben was the bridge. Travis tells her that when he called her the prophet, he made it up, and that this is real. I don't know if he really believes that. Perhaps Lottie was having the influence on his choice. As the girls question Hannah, I love one of them asking if Mulder and Scully got together, which is brilliant. By the way, the X-Files still going on at this point. Hannah tells the Yellowjackets that no one is looking for them. They gave up the search, much to their shock. When asked if she can get them home, she replies that she is confused and can't do it without Cody. Misty says she's got a track on them because of the material on the trees. Now, you've got to think, mate, did Akira leave that? Because I'm not quite sure who left it. I might have missed something, but Akira getting cold feet, it might make sense it was her. Shauna putting pressure on Hannah in this scene and questioning her every response is consistent and effective. Akira pulls a gun on Cody as the rest of the Yellowjackets show up. Even Travis falls in line. Cody has no choice but to return to camp. Cody bluffs that there's more of the scientists, but I think it's Nat who says, "Nice try, but we counted 3 sleeping bags." Very nicely done. The great cut from earlier I was talking about between the present and the wilderness is the cows digging up the body of the other scientist because they say to Hannah, "We will bury him and of course, or honour him properly." And of course there is supplies down there with him. So the girls are enjoying supplies from the outside world, which they haven't come across in a very long time. Mari enjoying a slush puppy is cute. Van rolls about on a blanket, enjoying it like she's in some sort of ad commercial. And all this to the soundtrack of Supergrass's popular breezy summer hit All Right, perfectly capturing the girls' enthusiasm and sense of life. Ty kills Van's vibe, worrying about the consequences if they return home. Van says it doesn't matter, the most important thing is we get home. This is good conflict, again showing their different perspectives at time, and again maybe adding more to the reason why they ultimately broke up post-wilderness. Melissa accuses Shauna of leaving her to die. Shauna assures her she didn't. Cracks starting to appear in that relationship. As Melissa talks about plans for when they get home, Shauna starts seeing the insects from her Jackie vision as the mood turns dark. Melissa snaps Shauna out of it, handing her the knife holster, asking if she's taking it home. And I think it's at that point it cut back to the kitchen with Melissa and Shauna in the present. So that's a very nicely done transition. Akira has another dark vision, this time that the animals are all dead. Lottie tells her they're alive and asks if she saw something. Another sign the Yellowjackets aren't supposed to leave this way, perhaps. This is one of the more repetitive storylines because it does seem to be doing very similar beats without really advancing things that much. I've quite enjoyed Akira's added value a bit more this season, up to a point, but it has, as I said, started to get a bit repetitive at time. Natalie says goodbye to Coach Ben, leaving him in the plane as she senses a presence on the plane. She defiantly tells it they're going home, there's nothing you can do. So we get to the big scene. As the girls prepare to leave, Lottie says she's not going because it isn't the plan, saying they're safer here. She may be right, of course. So once again, digging a little bit into that Lost type vibe. And that's probably partly what motivated the scene with Akira also. It's not surprising that Shauna also says she's staying, since she hasn't trusted Hannah since from the start. She senses something wrong, the vision from earlier part of that. To Van's shock, Ty says she also senses something and is staying too. Hard to not feel for Van in this scene. Natalie, once again assuming the role of leader, says the rest of them are leaving. Shauna points a gun at Nat and says, "No, you're not." And that's the sort of cliffhanger, if you like, from the wilderness. So very nicely done, setting up a big conflict for the next episode. And yeah, as I said, it's another good episode. Not the best of the season, but I think the drama that played out between Shauna and Melissa was so well done. And there was some other juicy little nuggets, some other gems of scene. As I said, I think Jeff had a really good episode. and it's nice to start to see him get more of him and Callie in this show. But yeah, another good episode. The momentum keeps building nicely towards the end of the season, and I don't know if I said it previously, but if this continues, if they stick the landing for season 3, then I think personally this will be my favourite season of Yellowjackets. So let me know what you think in the comments below of this episode. What do you think about some of the stuff between Shauna and Melissa? Do you believe Melissa's story that, okay, she sent the tape to sort of freak Shauna out, but then after that she had no involvement in trying to kill Shauna? Do you believe that Melissa just wants to live the big normal life, the ideal normal life? And what do you think about other stuff going on? Of course, I'm getting back into Yellowjackets. I've also made a start on The Last of Us Season 2. So the early stages of that. If you're interested in that show, you can follow those reviews along. I also reviewed all of the first season. So yeah, lots of kind of premium style cable TV on the channel at the moment. I also do horror reviews, and you can find franchise type reviews and other little horror type films reviewed on the channel if you're also a horror fan, which sort of has a bit of a link to Yellowjackets because there's definitely some strong horror in Yellowjackets. But thanks for listening once again. You can support me becoming a channel member. I'll put the link in the description, or you can sign up to patreon.com/borednow for just $1 a month. But I'll be back with more Yellowjackets soon. Thanks guys. Goodbye.